This video and text are registered under copyright, so quoting, copying, or citing them without the author's permission is prohibited by law. Couples Textbook Part 1 is sex for men or women? Hello everyone! Today, let's start with the question, is sex for men or women? There's one thing you must remember, sex is like an iceberg. Why bring up icebergs? Because only 10% of an iceberg is visible above the water, while 90% is hidden below. This is a meaningful analogy when applied to male and female sexuality. In other words, the visible 10% of sexuality can be said to be for men, while the submerged 90% is for women. Put differently, the part of sexuality that men express more openly and actively is just 10%, while the vast, hidden world of female sexuality makes up the remaining 90%. Let's take a closer look at why that is. From the perspective of erogenous zones, women have not only the main erogenous areas, but also the ability to feel subtle pleasure from head to toe. In contrast, men's erogenous zones are limited to a few specialized and primary areas. In terms of sexual capacity, it is difficult for one man to fully satisfy one woman, but the latent sexual potential of women is incomparably greater than that of men. Also, men's sexual pleasure is innate, universal, and uniform, requiring no effort, but it tends to decrease over time. In contrast, women's sexual pleasure is acquired, learned, and differentiated through quality sexual relationships with loving partners, and it tends to increase and intensify over time. To briefly touch on orgasm, men experience the greatest pleasure at their first sexual encounter, but as time goes by and as they age or gain more experience, their sexual pleasure diminishes. On the other hand, women may start with pain or discomfort, but with time, loving partners, and thoughtful, caring sexual experiences, their pleasure continues to rise to levels that cannot even be compared to men's. So why do we mistakenly think sex is mainly for men, when women hold such a dominant position in almost every aspect? It's because men's sexual urges are stronger and more visible. Since someone has to take the initiative for sexual relations to begin, and men usually take this role, this misunderstanding arises. The Creator gave the visible 10% of sexuality to men, and the hidden 90% of sexual energy and pleasure to women, because women bear much pain and responsibility, menstruation, pregnancy, childbirth, and childcare. They have also been given greater sexual pleasure and energy. Therefore, we should strive to create a world where women are happy, as intended. The happiness of women leads to the happiness of families, and ultimately, to a happier society. Remember, when women are loved, respected, and happy, their husbands, children, parents, and everyone else can be happy too.